Willie D Live.
What's up, family? You ain't gonna believe this. Yeah, fam, you read the headline. Family, the Justice Department is seeking to identify people on social media yapping about ICE. Yeah, fam, if you out there talking about ICE, they want to talk to you. More importantly, they want to investigate you. Yeah, they want to see your bank records. Yeah. What's that about? What happened to freedom of speech? I don't know, fam. This woman right here, Jeanine Pirro, this is a Trump ally. She's heading the department, and she's like, hey, you can't talk about ICE. So that's another constitutional right that is going to be taken away from you if Jeanine is to have her way. Yeah, fam, you can't talk about ICE. Let's get into this story in Bloomberg. The DOJ wants to know who on Reddit and X is criticizing ICE's tactics. The U.S. Justice Department is seeking the names, addresses, and banking information of Reddit and X users, ratcheting up efforts to identify social media critics of government deportation efforts. Now, I want you to understand this, fam. Just because it says Reddit and X does not mean you're going to be safe on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Yeah. They coming to get you, man. They're coming. They don't want you talking bad about ICE. Yeah, they coming. Let me enlarge this so y'all can read it a little better with me. The U.S. Attorney's Office for Washington, led by Jeanine Pirro, a close ally of President Donald Trump, has subpoenaed the social media companies as part of criminal investigations asking for personal information on at least 2 anonymous posters behind accounts that have chided immigration enforcement efforts, according to records shared by attorneys for the users. The anonymous users who learned of the subpoenas from the platforms and hired lawyers to challenge the government's demands for information haven't been told what possible offenses are being probed. The lawyers believe the investigations could relate to allegations of revealing a federal officer's location data or other types of perceived threats, but dispute that their clients committed crimes. Even if no charges ultimately are filed, the attorneys contended in interviews that rooting out identities of dissenters is at the very least an intimidation tactic. In recent sealed court proceedings, a federal judge is weighing the posters' request to have the government's subpoenas to the companies tossed out. Grand jury activity generally isn't open to the public, but the receipts of these types of evidence gathering tools are allowed to disclose certain information about them. The effort represents an escalation in the use of law enforcement tools by the administration, which has sought to protect the identities of immigration and custom enforcement agents. Other initiatives have become a flashpoint in an ongoing battle over funding the Department of Homeland Security, which is ICE's parent agency, including allowing officers to wear masks while in public and trying to criminalize the recording and publishing of video in their operations. We could stop right there, fam. People have criticism of ICE for good reason. These guys run around with these masks on and they terrorize people. They drag people out of cars. They ride around in unmarked cars. You don't know if these dudes are jackers. You don't know if they're proper law enforcement agencies. They pretty much agents. They do not behave like, yes, they do. I was about to say they don't behave like law enforcement agents, but they do behave because they are wild and reckless and out of control. So they do act like them. They behave like them, yeah. But it's just hard, fam. It's just hard in this country. It's hard to tell who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. A badge and a gun don't make you a good guy. Those days are over. Anybody who used to think like that should have plenty of proof now. Because some of you are in the dark. Some of you, y'all ain't never been in no trouble. Y'all don't know nobody really, really close to you who has ever been in trouble or railroaded. You ain't never been to prison. You ain't got no friends or family, close members who've been to prison. So, you just think the law is doing its job and, everything about a police officer is good. And, if they arrested somebody, the person had to be guilty. If they're in court, they must be guilty. That's why your type should never serve on a jury, because you don't have the ability to separate from your implicit biases. You should never be on a jury. Some of you. What the Justice Department essentially wants Americans to do is to respond to ICE quietly. They want you to shut up and take it. Kind of like how Black people have been told to do over the last 100 and something years. Just shut up and take it, man. Just shut up. Stop complaining. That's what they do. They violate you, and then if you complain about it, they tell you to stop complaining. You cry too much. Imagine, let's say somebody who's a predator, a child predator or something, telling the kid to stop complaining, right? We have members of our own government who prey on members of society. This is what they do. And then if somebody speaks out against it, they're anti-patriotic. There's something wrong with them. They're the problem. The cold part is they're backed up by their constituents, all of these little flunkies who are also criminals, right? They're also criminals. See, just because you haven't been caught don't mean you're not criminal. If you got a criminal mind, you're a criminal. Yeah, because that means that you're going to commit a crime. You're going to do some crime, right? A lot of them, just like these guys who are getting busted left and right, all of these Republican guys, and I'm not saying Democrats don't do it too, but I'm just saying, Republicans, it's always bigger when you get on top of a mountain and you scream that you're this, and then we find out that you're this, right? So they get on the top of the mountain and scream family values. They get on the top of the mountain and scream anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. And then next thing you know, you find out that they've been, these Republican dudes have been messing with little boys. They're trying to meet with little boys. They're getting popped left and right. Left and right, they're getting popped with messing with children. Yeah. I saw one the other day, got caught up in getting stuck with a dog. Yeah, a dog. I think he was a lawmaker also. Yeah. So you wonder why you have these people who commit some of the most horrible crimes who are like right back on the streets the same day. I saw this little white kid who killed his, I think, stepsister. The judge gave him a bond. The judge let him out on bond. He killed his stepsister. Straight up murdered her. Judge was like, hey, we don't want to put him in jail. I don't want to mess it. I don't want him traumatized any more than what he is. You got to look at the judge. See? Because I'm the type of dude, if I was the judge, his ass ain't going nowhere but in that cage where he belongs, where all uncivilized mutts belong. Yeah. That's how that go. I don't think this is going to fly. I say, when it comes to freedom of speech, let freedom ring. Like you got people out here, the cold part is that you got people out here right now who are screaming gun rights, these gun rights activists. They want to keep their guns, but they're supporting this initiative for the DOJ to go after people who speak badly about ICE. So they want to suppress or take away someone else's freedom of speech. So they want to take away one amendment and keep the other. But they really don't want to take away that amendment altogether. They don't care to have others be able to use their freedom of speech, exercise freedom of speech. The freedom of speech is for them, for their freedom of speech. You don't get to say nothing unless we agree with you, right? That's the mentality. You can't say anything that we disagree with. If you say something we disagree with, then we're coming to take your freedom of speech away from you. And they rock with that. They agree to that. They're the biggest hypocrites on the planet. That's right. I said it. I know you. That's why I call you a hypocrite, because I know you. I seen you in action. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Jeanine, good luck with that. No more talk.